Good afternoon. This is a session recorded for Sanjay Guravat Finishing School online certification workshop on personal grooming, and this is the session number 1. So in this session we are going to learn what is skin, what are the types of skin, how do we choose our sun protection factor, that is our SPF, how do we choose our sunscreen, and why do we need to use a sunscreen on our regular basis. So let's start with the session. Now when we talk about skin, the definition and introduction of skin goes as such. Definition of the skin is: it is a thin layer of tissue that forms a natural outer covering to the body of a human or an animal. So naturally the skin helps us in protecting our organs. All the underlying organs, all the underlying bones, all the underlying muscles and the tissues which are present in the body are protected by the layer of the skin. That's why skin is the most important, vital and the largest organ of the body. Around 20 square feet of the body is covered with skin, and hence we say that skin is the largest organ of the body. Also we need to know one thing, that the skin keeps on regenerating itself. That means the process of cell division is continuous into our skin, and that's why we need to always keep the upper layer of the skin. We always have to flush it off with the help of scrub or with the help of mask and all those things. Then we are going to learn something about melanin right now. So what is melanin? Melanin is the color pigment of the skin. Melanin is produced by the cells known as melanocytes. So these melanocytes are the cells that gives the natural color to the skin. So the cause of pigmentation, the cause of over darkening of an area in the skin is caused by this melanin. The occurrence of the melanin or the occurrence of the melanin can be taken care of with the help of sunscreen. That is the reason we always stress on using sunscreen, because the damage that is to be caused to the skin will get minimal. If we do not use a sunscreen, the damage becomes more to the skin. And as it is written in the third paragraph, the skin's color is created by special cells called melanocytes, which produce the pigment melanin, and melanocytes are located in the epidermis. Now when we are talking about epidermis, dermis, so we are going to the next we are going to come is towards the layers of the skin. So this is the structure of the skin. Here it is written epidermis, dermis and hypodermis. So we are not going to get into the science right now. So we are going to call them as the outer layer, the inner layer and the fatty layer of the skin. So in the epidermis, if we see, the epidermis is the outer layer of the skin that is seen to our eyes, and the hair that we see over the layer of the skin is known as a hair shaft. Now when we start studying the deeper layers of the skin in the epidermis layer goes under a process which is called as regeneration of cell. We are going to learn the regeneration of cell in the next slide. But when we come to the dermis layer, we can see that there are something known as sebaceous gland and sweat glands. So sebaceous glands are the oil glands that are present under the layer of the skin. So these oil glands are activated during the puberty. So once a person reaches the puberty, that's when these oil glands are active, and then we start getting problems such as oily skin, acne and all those things. So the sebaceous gland do a work of excreting or releasing the oil in our skin. And sweat gland, as the word itself says, that it produces or it excretes the sweat that is present in our skin. So the sweat glands releases the sweat and the sebaceous gland releases the oils that are there in our skin. After that, in the dermis, we have our nerves. The nerve endings are there, which helps us to understand the sensations like hot, cold, pain, and all those things. Then we see that there is a hair follicle. So now, as I told you, the part of the hair which is over the skin is known as a hair shaft, and the part of the hair which is rooted from where the hair grows, it is known as a hair follicle. So that is under the skin, and hair is nothing but those are dead keratinized cells, and that's why we always see that the hair is falling towards the ground. Always, we never see that the hair are standing, they're always falling towards the ground. And then we have blood vessels, which are our arteries and veins, which do the work of taking the impure blood and giving the pure blood to the body. So these are present in the hypodermis layer, and then there are the fats and all the collagen and elastin and all these things which bind our skin together in the hypodermis layer. So this was the structure of the skin, which is the outer layer, the inner layer, and the fatty layer of the skin. Moving ahead, we are going to learn something about the regeneration of skin cells. I always like to put it across like this to my students, which is very easy to understand. So over here, if you see in the stratum basal layer of the skin, the cells are very new, they are juicy. But as we go upwards towards the epidermis, they have started losing their nutrients, the water content, and then we see that in the upper layer of the skin, which is the stratum corneum, it starts shedding. So the process of cell from generation to disformation, it takes 26 days. Every single second of what we live, our cells are regenerating and disforming. They are regenerating and disforming. Disformation means they are shedding off from our body. So I put it across like this, that these cells which are there in the stratum basal layer are like those sweet juicy grapes that we get from the market, which are very fresh. There's a lot of water content, there's pulp, and there's everything in that. But if we keep those grapes for another 5 to 7 days, for example, they start losing their nutrients, they start losing the water content in it, and then they become raisins. है ना? So from grapes, it has turned into a raisins. In the same manner, the cells of the skin are fresh and juicy and full of nutrients when they are into the deeper layers of the skin, but as they come upward, they are prone to the damage in the environment from the sun rays that are there, and from we do not often take care of skin, and then they form the dead skin layer. They come into the stratum corneum and then they shed off. So this is the process of regeneration of cell, and that's why we always say that at least you need to scrub your face at least once a week. Mask application needs to be done twice a week. You need to have a facial once in a month, so that the dirt or the layers that are accumulated over the skin shall be removed. They should be shed off, or they should be flushed off from the skin. So that is the reason we have been suggested that we need to we need to apply mask, and we need to keep on cleaning our face. So cleansing, toning, moisturizing we learn into the next session. Today we are going to learn the basics of the skin. Going ahead, we are going to learn something about the ultraviolet rays. We all know that there are UVA rays, there are UVB rays. We all are familiar with it. But what does these rays do? What do they mean? So UVA rays are the aging rays. So UVA itself indicates that these are the aging rays, which damages our skin and starts aging earlier than the time of aging. Like some people, if you see in the 30s itself, they have started getting their wrinkles and all those things. So UVA rays gives us aging, whereas UVB rays burns the skin, which means it tans the skin. It causes an overexposure of UVB rays can also lead to carcinoma, which is known as cancer. So That's why it is very important to protect our skin from UVA rays and UVB rays. So, as it is written in the slide, in the sunlight there are two types of rays, UVA and UVB, that can damage the DNA in our skin cells and lead to skin cancer. It is important to protect your skin from both rays by choosing and applying the correct sunscreen and in the proper duration of time. So now the proper sunscreen and proper duration of time will come into the next slide. But UVB rays causes sunburn. It stimulates the production of melanin and plays a key role in developing cancer. So as we just discussed about melanin, it stimulates the production of melanin. That means how much it is required, only that amount of melanin would be produced. The overproduction or the over damage that will be caused to the skin can be sustained. So that's why we need a sunscreen to protect from UVB. UVA rays can cause skin damage that leads to tanning as well as skin aging and wrinkles. The shortest wavelength of UVA rays also contribute to sunburn. That means UVA rays does both aging as well as it causes us tan or sunburns. Now let me come to a part which I would like to share with you. As we are Indian skin tone, the melanin production in our skin is quite good. So that's why our skin never burns. Even if we go and stand out in the sun for an entire day, we'll get tan. Okay, so we get tan and we get dark, which gradually can be removed with the help of treatments or by applying mask and all those things. But foreigner skin or people with very fair skin or sensitive skin tend to burn their skin. So the melanin production in their skin is very low, and that's the reason their skin burns. And that is why we need to apply the sunscreen by according to the time that we have been exposed to the sun, according to the SPF factor and all those things. So we have learned about ultraviolet rays, and ultraviolet rays are not present only in the sun, they are around us 24 by 7. They are into us phone screens, they are into our laptop screens, they are into the lights that we use in a house. It is everywhere. These are the radiations that are there everywhere. So people say हम तो धूप में जाते ही नहीं तो हमको sunscreen लगाने की क्या ज़रूरत. It is wrong. Even if you, when you are indoors, your skin is exposed to some or the other damage around in the environment, and that is the reason, to protect it. Even if you are not going out and you are at home, you need to apply a sunscreen. Having said that, in the picture that we are seeing, we can see that the UVA rays and the UVB rays, till where do they travel? The UVA rays travels into the deeper layers of the skin, which is to the dermis, which is the inner layer. And if you can see the UVA rays picture, the lady has got those wrinkles. So here they give us the wrinkles. So UVA is aging rays. Whereas the UVB rays works in the epidermis layer, causes tanning or burn to the skin. When we go ahead and see this picture, the first picture indicates a skin which is without any sunscreen. So the UVB and UVA, both rays are being transferred and penetrated into the skin. The second picture shows that a person has used a UVB rays sunscreen, but the UVA rays is still penetrating into the skin. Now in the third picture, if we see, there is UVB and UVA both protection. That is the reason whenever we choose a sunscreen, we need to see it says UVA and UVB protection, or a broad spectrum sunscreen, or a wide spectrum sunscreen. These words have to be there on your sunscreen when you go to buy a product. Just don't go on the counter and someone is selling something, so you are going to buy it. Understand the need, that why do you need it. Having said that, the next slide we see something known as SPF. What is an SPF? SPF is a sun protection factor. A sunscreen's SPF number refers mainly to the amount of UVB protection it provides. It tells you how long the sun's radiation would take to redden your skin when using the product exactly as directed versus the amount of time without applying any sunscreen. So, SPF 15 gives you 93% of UVB radiation. SPF 30 blocks 97% of UVB radiation. SPF 50 blocks 98% of UVB radiation. Now, then the question arises. So, do we need to use a sunscreen which is 80 SPF, 100 SPF? That is not necessary. It all depends. See, as I have told you, Indian skin tans, we do not burn. So, we do not need a higher SPF as such. Yes, if we have a lot of exposure towards the sun, like if we are a person who does a field work, then naturally we need to decide it accordingly. But if we are someone that we go out, we do not go out very often, or we are not exposed to so much of sun or something like that, then for Indian skin tone, we were for Indian skin tone around 25, 30 to 35 is the maximum SPF that we need, and which is more than enough for our Indian skin tone. So going for, yes, of course, if you're going on a beach for a party, or you're going on a vacation, then you need to go 50 and above. But for a daily purpose use, a 30 to 35 SPF is enough. As it is said, it is important to look for words like broad or wide spectrum on the label, which means the product has ingredients that can protect you from UVA as well as UVB rays. Then we come, when we are choosing a sunscreen, when we go to the shop, it is like PA triple है, PA 5 plus है, ये ले लो वो ले लो. But do we even need that? We need to understand. So, as the slide shows, protection against, that means protection against the UV rays with PA plus, single plus, gives you 2 to 4 hours of protection. With PA double, it gives you 4 to 8 hours of protection, and PA triple plus gives you an 18 to 6 hours of protection. So that depends on how long you are going to be exposed to the sun, how long are you going to be outside, or how long do you need a protection of sunscreen. Anytime PA triple plus is the best sunscreen, but again you need to understand, if you are not being exposed to the sun so much, you can always go for PA double plus or PA single plus. But if you are someone who has been exposed to the sun very often, then you can surely go for PA triple plus, which is enough. So SPF 30 to 35, PA triple plus, PA double plus is more than enough. Having said that, we know something known as pH level of the skin. We have seen it on many of the products. Like it balances the pH of the skin. Mostly we see them on the toners, the astringents that we use. What is the pH of the skin? As we learned that there is the oil that comes over the surface of the skin, there is the sweat that comes up on the surface of the skin, and they form a acidic mantle, a layer over the skin, which is the pH of the skin, the natural pH of the skin. If we see into the on the scale that is given below, the neutral pH is 7, which is of our the pH is the hydrogen level into our skin, in our skin. So neutral pH is 7, which is of our normal tap water, which is a drinking water. If we see the alkaline side of the pH scale, it comes into the dryness. Very alkaline means dry. So seawater, soap, these are all products which comes towards the dry side, and a dry skin pH normally comes by into the alkaline side. Whereas if we see the acidic side of the pH, it is more towards the oiliness. So if we see, stomach acid is one of the example that they have given, and the oil that is there in our skin. So the pH level of an oily skin is always towards the acidic side. But the pH of the skin should not be more acidic nor more alkaline. If it's more alkaline, it is too dry. If it's more acidic, it's too oily. So the ideal pH for the skin and hair is 5.5. So we always see that toners have this written that pH balance 5.5. So why do we need to take this product? Whenever we cleanse the skin or we use a face wash, the oil that is there on the skin is removed. So because of which the skin does not understand that if it has to produce more oil now, or what the scenario is. And that is the reason when we wash the skin, it is dry, the pores are open, and the pH of the skin is now misbalanced. So when we use a toner, it helps us to minimize the pore size and balance the pH of the skin, which is 5.5. That is the reason it is compulsory and recommended for both oily and dry skin people to use toners. Again, whenever you're buying the products, it is written on that if it is for a oily skin, a dry skin, or a combination skin. Please read that and take. Just because someone is using something and it has worked wonders for them does not mean it is going to be the same for us. So we need to understand what our skin is and what we need to use. So always with pH 5.5, we need to use the toners or the astringents, and we need to understand if our skin is oily or if our skin is dry. So we'll quickly go through some functions of the skin, which is very self-explanatory, like protection. It helps us to protect from the infections that is around in the environment, from the bacteria, from the germs, from the UV rays, and it cushions the organs. That means the organs that are there into our body are safe because of the skin. So in a very worst scenario, in a worst accident, we break our bones. But normally, if we are just getting hit by something or there's a scratch, it is just on the skin. It doesn't go into the muscles, or it doesn't go directly into the bones or all those things. It is superficial. That means skin is acting as a protecting barrier. After that, it helps to balance the heat by sweating. So 98 degrees is the actual body temperature, and if it is high, it cools the body. If the environment outside is cold, our body itself warms itself. If the environment outside is warm, our body sweats and then tries to cool our body. So that is how it helps in heat balance. Absorption, whatever products we use, it helps to absorb into the skin, the moisturizers, the masks, the the toners that we use, the cleansers that we use. It helps in absorption. Secretion, as we have learned, that oil, sweat, ammonia acid, urea, all fats, all these are let out of the body through the skin. We always sweat, we always perspirate. So it helps in the excretion and secretion of the unwanted products from the body, which helps us to leave the skin smooth if we work out and all. So it helps us to release the unwanted fats from our body. It synthesizes vitamin D, which means it helps in the production of melanin, the actual production of melanin, which works as the natural sunscreen to our skin. Maintain the water balance by perspiration, sensation, the pain, touch, heat and cold, and the regeneration of the new cells. I'm sorry about it. And the regeneration of the new cells. Now we are going to learn about types of skin. So there are 4 different types of skin: dry skin, normal skin, oily skin and combination skin. How are we going to know that what type of skin do we have? If we have a very stretching skin all over the face, then we have a dry skin which has no traces of oil. If we have the normal skin, is we do not feel lot of lack of moisture, we do not feel lot of oil over the skin, even and everything is just blemish free, then it is a normal skin. and very few people are blessed with normal skin, and it is okay to not have a normal skin. We can always work towards it. Then we come towards oily skin. Oily skin, as we see, there are the blue patches all over the face. That means there's a lot of oil over the face. Then we have a oily skin, and only if we have the oil over our T-zone, we have a combination skin. How do we determine what type of skin do we have? So early morning, when we wake up from our sleep, the earlier night we have to wash our skin, and when we wake up in the morning, we need to take a tissue paper, place it over the skin for a while, and then if the tissue is dry as it was being placed, then your skin is normal, or it is dry. And if there are oil traces on the tissue paper, all over the tissue paper where it has been placed in your face, then your skin is oily. If there are traces only on the T-zone, then your skin is combination. So you can try this and understand what type of skin do you have. Then there are textures of the skin. So there's a good texture of a skin, which we all know and which we all see in the eyes, that it is soft, it is smooth, it is smooth to touch and all. It is very delicate and very blemish free. Whereas the other side of the other texture of the skin is little rough with acnes, or maybe with the pigmentation and all those things. But it's okay. We are here to learn um, how we are going to take care of the skin. Then there are open pores in this area. We can sometimes see on some people's face that there are actually small pores which are open. So that is excessively oily skin. So there are the types of the textures of the skin. So in today's session we have learned the functions of the skin, that is to work as a barrier to the infection, regulate the body temperature, remove the waste products, protect from UV rays. The skin is made up of epidermis and dermis, which is the outer layer, and the inner layer of the skin. Always we need to use a SPF when we are going out, because it will help us to reduce the damage that is being caused to the skin. Till today, if we have not used a sunscreen, just imagine how damaged our skin might have been. Now if we are in the teenage, or if when we are young, we do not feel that, but gradually as we move 35, 40 and ahead, that's when our skin tends to show up the damage that has been caused to it. We have all seen our moms getting the butterfly marks over the cheeks areas, or moms who have not had a regular skincare routine, or who have not used any products as such. Normally we always get to see females with those spots. Those are the hormonal changes spots that they get post pregnancy. So the pregnancy is done when they are 20 to 25 years of age, but the marks starts up showing when they are 35, 40, 45. So just in order to be protected from all these types of pigmentation and skin damages, we need to have a regular routine, which is to clean our face, to apply the toner to our face, to apply the moisturizers to our face, to apply sunscreen to our face. This has to be followed very religiously, because only then we can prevent the damage that is going to be caused to the skin into a uh, wider time, or the times to come in the future. It is not about today that we are thinking, it is about the future also, that we need to think about our skin. And for females, skin is the most important part, but still it is the most neglected part that that, and we all will agree to it. But that is not the right thing. If we are healthy, if we are feeling healthy about ourselves, then everything around us itself gets healthy. And that is the reason we need to take care of ourselves first, and then we'll be able to take care of the people that are around us. So this was an study over the layers of the skin, how the regeneration of the skin takes place, and why is it important for us to scrub and remove the dead skin layer of the skin why is it important to use a sunscreen on a daily basis, so that the we can prevent the damage that will be caused to the skin into a near future. If we are a teenage today and if we start doing it right now, it is going to help us immensely in the days to come. In the next session, we'll be studying about cleansing, toning, and moisturizing and sunscreen application in detail. Why is it necessary and how do we do that? Till then, take care. Please understand the nature of your skin. What do you need? And only then go and buy the products. Always check what type of skin do you have, and only then check on the product what it is written. It is always written for dry skin, for normal skin, for combination skin, for oily skin. Go and check what you need, not what the shopkeeper wants to give you. Please take care of your skin, stay healthy, and stay happy. Thank you all.